1.
Okay, folks, we will find out. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We will find out tomorrow night if we will have another Roy Moore situation, but this time it'll be much different. How did that sound? No, that wasn't coherent, but I'm going to explain. It's considered the most vulnerable senator in America today is Joe Manchin. Tomorrow is the West Virginia primary. Did I say I'm BKP? Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. If I didn't, there we go. So tomorrow is the West Virginia primary. Now, Joe Manchin is the lone Democrat left. Every Republican district, every district in the state of West Virginia is Republican. Capito, the other senator, which is I'm not fond of, but still, yes, she's a Republican. The governor's a Republican. The West Virginia State Senate is a Republican. The West Virginia State House is Republican. Joe Manchin stands alone. He is the D in the wilderness. Now, the establishment candidate, and I know my Republican friends cannot stand that, is Evan Jenkins. Now, Evan Jenkins has been back and forth. He has not been able, he is a representative. He is a congressman, Evan Jenkins. Now, Evan Jenkins has done, he has voted correctly, according to many, in support of the President of the United States. So, obviously, the president is going to say thank you for your votes. Now, don't get that wrong, because you're going to hear that President Trump, okay, you're going to hear President Trump rejects. Trump urges West Virginia voters to reject Blankenship. President Donald Trump is urging West Virginia voters to reject a former federal convict and a coal baron running in the Republican primary Senate, urging that Don Blankenship would lose the general election. Okay? That's already, that Don Blankenship would lose the general election. This is going to be different, friends. Stay with me. President Donald Trump is urging West Virginia voters to reject the former federal convict and coal baron running in the Republican Senate primary, urging that Don Blankenship would lose in the general, much like Roy Moore, right? Trump tweets on Monday, to the great people of West Virginia, we have together and a really great chance to keep making big differences. Problem is, Don Blankenship, currently running for Senate, can't win the election in your state. No way. Remember Alabama. Folks, I'm so far ahead of this. Remember Alabama. Vote Representative Jenkins or Attorney General Morrissey. All right? Is that commercial? Do you have that ready? Is it ready? This is Don Blankenship, one of his commercials. Let's play Don Blankenship's most recent commercial. All right?
I'm Don Blankenship, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Politicians are running a lot of crazy ads. They blew up the coal mine and then put me in prison. Now they're running the ads that say the coal mine blew up and I went to prison. There's no surprise there. But if you want jobs, if you want to end the drug epidemic, and you want to protect the unborn, you need to vote for me. One of my goals as U.S. Senator will be to ditch cocaine Mitch. When you vote for me, you're voting for the sake of the kids.
So ditch cocaine Mitch. Ditch cocaine Mitch. So Donald Trump is asking you in West Virginia to not vote for Don Blankenship, but to vote either. He's not endorsing Jenkins, Evan Jenkins, the sitting, he is a Congressman, Evan Jenkins, or Attorney General Morrissey. The West Virginia Attorney General Morrissey, but Don Blankenship, and he says, remember Alabama. And this man has had the nerve to say, ditch Mitch, okay? Now, all that being said, all right, all that being said, this is a man right here. Remember, okay, Roy Moore, the takedown. The minute Roy Moore won the primary, okay, against the establishment, Mitch McConnell ran into town and did everything he could to help Doug Jones get elected. Don't think for 1 minute. Remember Alabama. Remember Roy Moore. Is that Roy on the screen?
Cowboy Roy Moore.
Yeah, there's Cowboy Roy Moore. Remember, okay, that the 14, 15, and 16-year-old girls that came out, remember that. Remember they found these people after 20 years, 15 years, whatever it was. Remember the takedown. Get ready again for the takedown if Don Blankenship beats Evans or Morrissey. There is growing concern among Republicans that Don Blankenship, you have his picture, a bombastic coal baron. Now, you got to remember, I talked to, let me just say this, okay? I discuss with our reporters at FetcherNews.com quite often the words they use in their articles. Growing concern among Republicans that Don Blankenship, a bombastic, okay, coal baron who has spent time in prison, is surging ahead of Tuesday's West Virginia Senate primary. And a last-minute campaign is underway to stop him. All right? Cocaine Mitch McConnell does not want this man. Now remember, this man here, all right? Upper Big Branch Mine. Remember, Upper Big Branch Mine that killed 29 workers, all right? This guy owned the mines. And remember, at that time, Joe Manchin was governor of West Virginia. Okay? Joe Manchin was governor of West Virginia. Don Blankenship, when they were doing the rescue effort, Don Blankenship stood side by side with Joe Manchin. Now they say that if this guy gets elected, all right, this guy's not Roy Moore. You need to understand, it's not okay that 29 miners died in this tragic accident. But the people of West Virginia, they have lived that tragedy since the beginning of mining. If you travel through West Virginia today, there are sealed up mines all over, sadly to say, where there's a monument in front of the mine where there's men trapped that they never removed from that mine that died in an explosion and a collapse in that mine. The people of West Virginia are familiar with that. They're not okay with it, but they're familiar with that. People of West Virginia understand the risk they take going down in the ground. It's not okay that 29 miners die, but they understand the risk. You see, Don Blankenship, when the 29 workers died, he could not be held responsible after the Justice Department tried to convict him on 3 felonies. Now, I'm trying to get you to remember something here. They tried to convict this guy, the Obama Justice Department, on 3 felonies. They couldn't. They could not get the felony charges to stick. They could not get this guy responsible for murder. And that's what they wanted. He spent a year in prison on a misdemeanor. See, this first paragraph in here, okay, doesn't talk about he's a convict, a coal baron, okay? But he spent a year in prison on a misdemeanor. I've heard, you're so tired of me saying this, it's just a notch above a driving ticket, speeding ticket. And he's still on probation over a misdemeanor. He did not get first-time offender status, nothing. So, as the tight contest hurtles to the close, 4 Republicans said they'd reviewed polling conducted in recent days showing Blankenship, who spent a year in jail following the 2010 explosion at the Upper Big Branch mine that killed 29 workers, moving narrowly ahead. See, in that paragraph, this writer leaves totally out. Totally out. Let's see, it would happen to be from Politico. All right? Leaves totally out that it was a misdemeanor charge and that the 3 felony charges did not stick. 2010 explosion at the Upper Big Branch mine that killed 29 workers, moving narrowly ahead of his more mainstream GOP rivals, Representative Evan Jenkins and State Attorney Patrick Morrisey. The Republicans cautioned that the surveys designed to offer a snapshot of the race were conducted over a brief period of time and may be overstated Blankenship's support. On Thursday, the president's son, Don Trump Jr., sent a tweet asking the people of West Virginia to make a wise decision and reject Blankenship. No more fumbles like Alabama. Folks, he is not Cocaine Mitch. He is not Roy Moore. But what I want to tell you, tomorrow all eyes will be on West Virginia. It will be it's the most vulnerable, and I tell you what Joe Manchin does not want to do. The media is leading you to believe this would be a gift. The media is trying to figure out now, with the help of Mitch McConnell, how to take this man down if tomorrow night in West Virginia he becomes the Republican primary candidate. They're working on it now. What will they Roy Moore him about? What will they get him on? What will be his Roy Moore moment to try to send Joe Manchin back? You see, this man knows Manchin. This man knows him very well. Manchin's in fear of this guy. Manchin's not in fear of Jenkins. No, because Jenkins has flipped Democrat, Republican, 4 times or whatever. He can't figure out who he is. Manchin's not afraid of the Attorney General of West Virginia. He's not afraid of him. There'll just be an argument on Manchin will say, I know. Let me tell you what will happen. If Attorney General Morrisey of West Virginia wins tomorrow night, he's actually from New Jersey. Manchin wins hands down with knowing West Virginia values. Period. Manchin goes, the Manchin name, if you don't know, it goes way back. Manchin wins hands down against Morrisey. Jenkins, Manchin can win, but all they'll argue is, I'm more conservative and all he did was support Obama and he won't support the president. Manchin's biggest fear that the media tells you is not out there. Joe Manchin's biggest fear, the senator of West Virginia, Democrat, is Don Blankenship. His biggest fear is Don Blankenship. Because he doesn't want to stand on a debate stage with Don Blankenship. And he doesn't want Don Blankenship to look over at him and say, Joe, when that mine exploded, you and I stood side by side. You know the truth of what happened there. Yes, Blankenship is Manchin's worst nightmare. Trust me. And the media knows that. So just prepare yourself on what the takedown will be on Don Blankenship if he wins tomorrow night. How bad the Republicans will eat their own and go after him to make sure. You see, Roy Moore has been an elected to office in Alabama several times. But see, guys like this could inspire others to do the same thing. And that's what they don't like. Donald Trump broke the glass ceiling for finally getting people to come out and run that are not career politicians. If this guy wins tomorrow night in West Virginia, you see, they can't have that, because that destroys their institution that they have. And we'll take a break. We'll come back right after these messages. See if Amanda has anything at 9:30. And get ready. We got a couple more stories. But Don Blankenship tomorrow night. We got our eyes on the state of West Virginia here tomorrow night. I don't know if Blankenship will win, but I know this. It'll be Joe Manchin's worst nightmare. And watch what the Republicans do to attack Don Blankenship if he wins tomorrow night. I'm your host, BKP. Take us to break.